Okay, I have a question for you. Can you imagine a TV show that kicks off with a mass murder, a serial flasher, and a main character who's more worried about waxy buildup on her kitchen floor? It sounds insane, right? Well, today, we're diving into the strange, shocking, and honestly brilliant world of a show that did exactly that and broke every single rule in the book. Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman.
Right from the jump, people knew this was different. I mean, look at this quote from the New York Times. They didn't just see it as another TV show. No way. They called it a cultural event, like it was this dark, cracked mirror reflecting all the weird anxieties of 1970s America. And trust me, once you hear what this show is actually about, you'll get exactly why they said that.
So, let's set the scene. We're in Fernwood, Ohio. It looks like your typical, quiet, unassuming American town. Seems totally normal, right? Well, what goes down in the very first episode is anything but normal.
Yeah, you heard that right. The show starts with the mass murder of an entire family. The Lombardis, all 5 of them. Oh, and their 2 goats and 8 chickens too. I'm not kidding. It was this gruesome but also somehow darkly hilarious event that just completely set the tone. It was totally off the wall, and believe me, nobody had ever seen anything like it on TV before.
And if you think the Lombardi massacre was wild, that was just the beginning. At the same time, the town is being terrorized by a mysterious serial flasher. So who is he? In a twist that just perfectly nails the show's insane vibe, blending the shocking with the totally mundane, the flasher turns out to be Mary's own grandfather. Her grandpa.
So who's at the center of this hurricane of pure insanity? Mary Hartman. And this definition just says it all. She is an Ohio housewife trying to deal with waxy yellow buildup on her floor and the mass murder of her neighbors. She's completely obsessed with TV commercials and brand names, and she processes these absolutely horrific things happening around her with the exact same emotional energy she gives to her floor wax. It's just this brilliant, deadpan commentary on being totally detached from reality.
Oh, and did the madness stop there? Not even close. It's like Fernwood was a magnet for the most bizarrely tragic deaths you can imagine. A guy drowns in a bowl of chicken soup. Another guy gets impaled on a pink Christmas tree. A kid evangelist gets electrocuted when a TV falls in his bathtub. This wasn't just a TV show, you guys. It was like a weekly catalog of the completely surreal.
So at this point, you've got to be asking yourself, who on earth would dream up something this chaotic? Well, the answer is an absolute legend of television, Norman Lear. You know him from massive hits like All in the Family and The Jeffersons. But with Mary Hartman, he was on a totally different, much more twisted mission.
See, for Lear, this show was all about one big idea. It was a satire. He wanted to see what happens to a person when their entire view of the world is shaped by TV commercials and brand names. So Mary Hartman wasn't just a funny character, she was a symbol for this whole society that was being sold a shiny, plastic version of happiness, even while truly awful things were happening all around them.
And to do this, he took the classic daytime soap opera format, something everyone was familiar with, and just completely flipped it on its head. Look at this comparison. Where typical soaps had love affairs, Mary Hartman had consumerism. Instead of a character getting convenient amnesia, they'd have a full-on, messy, nervous breakdown. Family Fortunes? Nope, let's talk about public flashing. He was totally tearing apart the genre from the inside out.
But as you can probably guess, the major networks were absolutely terrified of this show. In 1975, every single one of them said no thanks, thinking it was just way too weird for America. So what did Lear do? He took a massive gamble. He bypassed them completely and sold the show directly to local, independent stations. And boy, did that gamble pay off. Almost overnight, Mary Hartman became this huge, syndicated sensation.
Now, the show was definitely a satire, but it also had this really human and really troubled heart. And that heart was Mary's slow but kind of inevitable breakdown.
And a huge part of the commentary was Mary's actual personality. They even had a name for it, the Hartman response. She was just numb a lot of the time. Like she couldn't actually process all the chaos. One minute she'd be totally checked out, completely apathetic, and then next she'd be in a full-blown panic. It really showed a woman who was just so overwhelmed that her basic emotional toolkit was just broken.
I mean, can you blame her? Just look at everything she went through. First, she survives the mass murder of her neighbors, then she gets held hostage by the killer, then she finds out her sweet old grandpa is actually the town flasher, and on top of all that, she learns her husband, Tom, is cheating on her again and again. The pressure just builds and builds, and it all leads to one of the most iconic moments in television history.
Here's the kicker, though. Mary's breakdown doesn't happen in private. No, that would be too normal. In this unbelievable move that blurred the lines between fiction and reality, the show actually put her on a real talk show, The David Susskind Show, and that's where she had her complete meltdown, live, on national television. It was just, wow, completely groundbreaking stuff.
And even after all that, the satire just does not quit. So Mary gets committed to a psychiatric hospital, right? And what's the one thing that makes her truly happy there? She finds out that her family has been chosen as a Nielsen family. You know, the people who determine TV ratings. So now her TV watching matters. Think about that. Even at her absolute lowest point, her entire sense of self-worth is still defined by media and television. It's so dark, but so brilliant.
So, despite how incredibly strange it was, or, maybe because of it, this show wasn't just some small cult hit. It was a real-deal cultural phenomenon that had the whole country talking.
If you want proof of just how popular it was, just look at this number, 325. That's how many episodes they made. In just 2 seasons. That is not a typo. They were pumping out a new episode every single weekday for a year and a half. The demand for this show was just insane.
And his legacy was cemented pretty much right away. TV Guide has put it on their top cult shows ever list not once, but twice. That crazy chicken soup death episode, it's been named one of the top 100 TV episodes of all time. This little show that all the networks rejected became this undeniable piece of American pop culture. But the story doesn't just stop when Mary Hartman went off the air. Not at all. Its influence is still being felt today because it basically paved the way for so much of the TV that came after it.
I mean, you can draw a straight line from this show to so many others. Think about the parody show Soap that probably never would have happened without Mary Hartman. Or what about the surreal, creepy, small-town vibe of Twin Peaks? That owes a massive debt to Fernwood, Ohio. This show proved that TV could be weird, it could be satirical, and it could be genuinely unsettling, all at the same time.
And the world of Fernwood actually got bigger. After the actress who played Mary left, they just rebranded the show as Forever Fernwood and kept following the other characters. And it also had this amazing spin-off, a fake local talk show called Fernwood Tonight with Martin Mull, which was hilarious and became a huge hit all on its own.
So all of this kind of brings us to one big, fascinating question. In our world today, with a million streaming services and endless content, is there even room for a show this brave, this bizarre? Could a show like Mary Hartman actually work today, or would it just get lost in the noise?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because Hollywood actually tried to answer that question for us. A reboot was officially in the works back in 2021, starring the amazing Emily Hampshire from Schitt's Creek, but then, just a year later, the whole thing got scrapped. It kind of makes you think that even now, the strange and wonderful world of Mary Hartman might still be too weird for TV.
So there you have it, the wild, sensational story of Mary Hartman, a show that might just still be too bold for television. But what do you think? I really want to know. Could a show this bizarre make it today, or was it just lightning in a bottle, a perfect product of its time? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you had fun diving into this cult classic with me, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thanks for hanging out.